The total household debt in Canada is more than $2.5 trillion. 2/3 of Canadians are in debt. And the average Canadian owes around $73,500 to the banks. It's out of control, but it's time for you to have some peace. This is the Money Podcast with Jake and Lincoln. No matter your walk of life or your stage of your financial journey, this show will help you achieve financial peace. If you're tired of worrying about your financial future, if you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, if you're tired of being enslaved by debt, you're about to get the info, the resources, the hacks, the tips, the tricks, the practical advice, and most importantly, hope. Welcome to the Money Podcast with Jake Hebert and Lincoln Peters.
Hey Jake, welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
About the same.
Yeah, that's good. This beautiful weather has me in a good mood.
Oh man, how it's been so nice the last few days.
Yes, it is. I hope we get more rain and snow though.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah, Southern Alberta is very dry.
It's been dry.
Very dry. Yeah.
Even last summer was pretty dry.
Yeah.
So
no, I hope we get another. I would like to see 10 inches of rain spread out over the next 6 weeks.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, but it looks like we're going to get some snow, so I'm happy about that too.
It's the end of the season, but yeah, let's take it because of the moisture.
Moisture is moisture.
Yeah,
right. We're happy with that. So yeah.
So I got a joke for you.
Go for it.
What did one hat say to the other hat?
The hat?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It said, "Wait here while I go on ahead."
Oh, okay. All right, I got one for you. What did the 0 say to the 8?
I have no idea.
No? Nice belt. I don't know if that's funny or not. I thought it was funny. Yeah, I have a quote of the day.
Okay,
and we're going to be talking about fear today a little bit. So the quote of the day is this. It's, failure seldom stops you. What stops you is the fear of failure, written by Jack Lemmon.
That's good.
Isn't it good?
It's deep.
It is. Fear stops people from moving forward very often. Fear of the unknown. And it's real.
Fear of the future.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
But one thing that is not very fearful that we're going to talk about today is the promotion.
That's right.
You asked me earlier something about birds. Tell me about that again.
Yeah. What do you know about birds, Jake?
I don't know much, as we discovered. I don't know much. Birds they fly. I don't know. They have a beak, generally speaking. It has to have a beak in order to qualify as a bird.
It's true.
What were you going to tell me about birds?
Things like that.
Yeah.
I too don't know a lot about birds, but I do know that there's certain type of birds that push their young out of the nest when they're getting ready to fly.
I have heard of that. Do you know what kind it is? What kind of bird is it? No.
I should have looked that up.
Probably, eh?
It would have been good.
Yeah. I remember reading about that like in elementary school.
So if any of you know what type of bird pushes its babies out of the nest to encourage them to fly, let us know.
Encourage, that's the word you want to use?
Oh,
force them to learn to fly?
That one too. If they get too comfortable in the nest, they might be forced sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel our podcast has entered that stage. We've been pushed out of the nest. We took a big step forward.
That was the reference right there, right?
Yes.
So we are on Facebook now. We've been on Spotify since the beginning, right?
That's right. So we are on Apple Podcast. There's quite a few.
Chromecast, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel.
So yeah, the big news is, guys, we are now on YouTube and Facebook. That's where we can be found.
Yeah.
And that's big for us. And with that, we're doing a promotion.
That's right.
We're pretty excited about this promotion, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's tell people a little bit about it. We're going to pay a bill.
We are.
For you for 1 month.
And you know why we're doing it, guys? We do this because we hate debt.
That's right.
We want to see people win with money. We want to help you by paying one of your bills. We want to help you get out of debt.
But there's a limit to it though, right?
Yes, there is. There's a couple of different conditions that apply. But
so what we're going to do is if you have credit card debt, we're going to pay a credit card bill.
That's right.
And if you don't have any credit card debt, be very grateful and thankful for it. And then we'll make a vehicle payment.
That's right.
Or the money can go towards a vehicle payment. If you don't have a vehicle payment, then it can go towards a phone bill or utility bill or property tax bill.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the way that you will qualify to be entered,
I suppose that's important, eh?
That would be. I mean, how will they know? If
how will they know?
Bill, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the way that you will qualify to enter is 3 different things that you can do. You can get entered 3 different times.
3 different ways and 3 different times.
That's right. And so the way you do it is you go to our YouTube page, for example, and you share an episode there and you take a picture of that and then send us a screenshot.
I think we should clarify that.
Okay.
So you take the link and you post it on your WhatsApp status.
That's right.
And you take a screenshot of your WhatsApp status and you send that to your phone number.
To my phone number. My phone number is 306-661-0713. And then you go back and you do the exact same thing with Spotify. You take an episode off of Spotify and you share that on your WhatsApp status. You take a screenshot of that, and then again, you send it to 306-661-0713.
Yeah. And then you do the same thing with the Facebook page.
That's right.
Just take the link, post it on your WhatsApp status, take a screenshot of it and send us that. Just proof that you've posted it on your status.
And this contest starts March the 19th. And it will be done on the 31st. So during that time, you'll get those 3 opportunities.
Yeah. So for those 2 weeks.
And then if you say, hey, I got a spouse, she could also do that, right?
So you could enter, the 2 of you could enter 6 draws, technically. So we're talking YouTube, Spotify channel, and Facebook. Yeah. Share those and send that.
So, and while you're doing this, while you're at it, you may as well like and subscribe, and give
absolutely.
thumbs up and rate with stars and
all
that
stuff.
wonderful stuff, because that pushes our episodes forward. Our podcast will be seen by more people, and then more people can enter as well, right? So may as well do that. But yeah. Is there anything we're missing on this?
No, I don't think so. I think that is...
Oh, when will we announce the winner?
Oh, that's right. April 2nd.
April 2nd.
So you have to listen to the April 2nd episode in order to claim your prize.
That's right.
Right. So we will announce who it is, and then you have to listen to that episode and tell us that you listened to it. Tell us that you heard your name on the episode on April 2nd.
And what I will do too is I will post the limitations of the contest on our Facebook page as well as our WhatsApp group.
That's a fantastic idea.
All that stuff. So
go
there to look for details on this wonderful, wonderful thing we're doing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. So on the topic of fear, what do you think that people fear when it comes to money? What do you think is one of the big ones?
There's so much uncertainty surrounding that topic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Will I be able to retire? Will I have enough money?
Yep.
Will something happen to me? Do I need the proper type of insurance, but I don't have the insurance? Will I be okay?
Yeah. And that's why, just on the topic of fear, that's why I like to create the FIN number, the financial independence number.
Yeah.
Right. The amount of money you need to have set aside so that you don't have to worry about or fear having to go back to work.
If you're not 100% sure what the FIN number is, we did an episode on that.
That's right. Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago. So just go back and listen to that one.
Yeah. So that's one of the ways I think that people can take the fear out of finances.
Right.
But then a lot of people talk about the markets. Oh, what if I invest my money? What will happen to it? Right. And there was this whole thing in Mexico for a while, the Tupperware thing, right? Which everybody knows people that put money into that and how much money they lost. A lot of people got their money back, but a lot of people lost a lot of money. Like their life savings went into it, right?
They did.
And so that kind of fear is validated by that. Fear is validated by scams like that, right? And I think that's what we can call it. It ultimately turned into, and there's a lot of things like that. Ultimately, it turned into, there was people on the other end, they were stealing money. And same thing with Facebook ads, YouTube ads, social media ads, let's just call it that. There's a lot of them out there that just take your money. There was the Elon Musk thing that went around, right? Deposit $250 and then they call you, and then another 200 and another 500 and another 1,000 and whatever it is, right? And I actually we're looking to buy a Class A motorhome to go to Ontario for a family reunion, to take a drive. We've never done something like that. So we're thinking about doing that this year. And so I'm on Kijiji and Facebook and Auto Trader and dealerships and stuff like that, looking to buy one of these, right? And I came across one, and it was very reasonably priced. It was in decent shape, and so I sent a message saying, "Hey, can I come take a look at it?" It was in Calgary. I think it was in Calgary or Airdrie. Yeah, I think it was anyway. And I get a message back saying, "I've listed this for my neighbors out in Newfoundland. Please contact neighbor here." And so I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. I don't know if this is true or not, right?
Right.
And it wasn't like it was free, right? But it was very reasonably priced.
Okay.
And the next thing I get is and I said to send him an email. So I send him an email, And then I got an email saying that I was supposed to pay for delivery and they would deliver it within 3 to 4 business days. And I was like,
I haven't even bought this thing yet.
Yeah. And I said, no, I would like to see it. And it seemed very reasonable. The first email seemed very reasonable. It said,
okay.
And it didn't talk about the delivery yet. Just,
okay.
It's in Airdrie. You can go and you can look at it. And I said, okay, I'd like to look at it on this and this date. And then the email got sent back saying, you need to pay so much deposit. And then we will bring it to you to look at.
Oh, I see what they're doing.
Yeah. And then delivery fees will be included in the price of the unit.
Okay.
And I was like, yep, nope, shut it down. I don't even want a good deal on an RV if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just shut it down. But even those things, it seemed so legit that, and I am fairly I don't fall for scams very easily. I used to, but I don't anymore. I can see them from a mile away. This was so well done that until they asked for money, I couldn't see that it was a scam.
Yeah.
And then the delivery thing kind of gave it away too. Nobody delivers it. That's just not true. Right.
So you're a busy individual. We'll come to you. Just pay us a little bit of money. And
that was the concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds fantastic. But that's one thing I would say is, generally speaking, don't send a deposit over Facebook, WhatsApp, or Kijiji, right? Not
until you've seen things and talked to them in person, face to face.
Yeah. But anyway, so what does that have to do with our episode? And what I wanted to say about that was that the fear of somebody stealing your money from anywhere from the the Elon Musk cryptocurrency scam to the selling you something on Kijiji or Facebook scam to the Tupperware scam, the fear of it is very real, right?
Yes, it is.
And so that has created, very often it creates in people a very negative stance toward investing in mutual funds or the S&P 500 index or things like that, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes, because they see that somebody they know got ripped off and they're like, so how can I trust that this other thing is not?
Yeah. So that when Jake or Lincoln or somebody that talks to them about, hey, you should put your money into mutual funds and let it grow in the S&P 500 over the next, or in the market, say, for the next 20 to 25 years, and that'll be your nest egg, they look at you with the same critical eye, and you should, that they did with the ad that came off of Facebook or Instagram or something like that, right? And it was a scam.
Very true. So what I want to say to that is, don't ever put any money into anything you don't personally understand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So whether it is a mutual fund or crypto or whatever that may be, even though I'm not for crypto, but let's just say whatever that may be, make sure you understand how it works and what it is. And if the person that wants to sign you up for something, if they can't explain it, run.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And that's the other thing that you see with this whole thing about, and all they are is cash value life insurance policies and universal index life insurance. And the very often the people that are selling them don't understand them, right? And so you end up with a product that is very expensive, and it puts you, so then when somebody else comes along and says, hey, you should be putting money into an RSP account, into a mutual fund, that's an equity mutual fund, and it's going to grow on average of that 10%, 9 to 10% a year. They're like, you have a very real and legitimate reason to be afraid of it. Or I say afraid, but to be critical of it.
Right.
Right. And you should be. So if the person that you're doing business with cannot explain it to you so that you understand it, you shouldn't be in that product.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
And so the other part of the fear, I would say, is, and I think you've alluded to this a few times in conversations that we've had, is that the future always looks gloomy.
Yes, that's the thing that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. I had a conversation with a gentleman just a few days ago, and he says, Lincoln, the days when a working man could buy a house are gone. They will never be back again. And those types of things. So I got to thinking, if that's the message we're giving the next generation, then what hope is there for them? Why should they even bother, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we need to go back to our mindset.
Yes, absolutely.
And know that the future, we are in interesting times right now, but there is still a great hope for a good future.
But we have always lived in interesting times.
Yeah, this is true.
I would make that argument. First of all, I would like to say that if you are 18 years old, you can buy a house.
Yes.
It
gets done almost every day.
It is done exactly the same way that it used to be done. Now, is it harder? Is inflation, the rising cost of our everyday goods, are they problematic? Yes, hugely problematic. but it is done exactly the same way that it has always been done. And that is that you go to work, you save up as much money as you can for a down payment for a house, and then you put a down payment on a house and you buy it exactly the same way. Now, does it take longer? Possibly, but it is done exactly the same way. So what I want to say about that is that the way that we live hasn't changed. Our perception has.
Right.
And the other thing that's changed is perspective.
Definitely.
Right. The way that we look at things has changed. Like there's this fear of, okay, the price of houses is way too expensive. Okay, let's make that argument and say that's true. That doesn't mean that you can't buy one. It just means that you're buying one for too expensive, but so is the price of milk. Price of milk is way too expensive. It doesn't mean you don't buy it.
Price of gas, we could make that argument about pretty much anything.
But at the end of the day, the market sets the price. So as long as people are willing to pay for it, then the market is there.
Well, also supply and demand, right?
Yep.
Right now, there's a shortage of houses. And
yes.
As long as that keeps to be the case, then
the prices will continue to rise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And the flip side of that, though, is if you're buying a house, you're 18, 19, 25, 30, whatever it is, you have a lot of time to cash in on that. In the future, you could sell that house and you'll have money to live on.
Yes.
Right. So I think that the fear is warranted, but it shouldn't be crippling you. Like fear shouldn't be crippling you. Like if you were born, let's say you were born in 1895, let's say.
1895.
Okay. By the time you were 19 years old, you had entered the First World War.
Okay.
Right? So then in 1914, the First World War, I think that's when it started. I have to look at the exact dates, but that's when it started. And then you were, just say you were 20. By 1939, you were 20 years older, so you were 40, and the Second World War breaks out. Or not 39, 39, 40, right?
Yeah.
So you're 40 years old and the Second World War breaks out. And you live through that, let's say, and the whole European economy crashes completely, right? And it was horrible, all of the things that happened. But let's say you're 40 in 1940 and you live through, like you would have also lived through the Great Depression.
Yes.
That came right after the Second World War. And then right up until the 70s, you would have lived through the beginning of 20% mortgages.
Heard of those,
right?
20%.
So I think that our perspective is the problem very often. Now, is it harder than it was for the people that were born in the 1970s to buy a house in the late 80s, early 90s? Yeah, because our income to expense is higher, right? We have to have a lot higher income in order to make a living. That is true. But it's done exactly the same way. You want to buy a house, you want to move forward in life, take 10 to 15% of your income, invest it every day, regardless of fear, right? Just do it. And whether that's saving it and investing it into mutual funds or investing it and paying off your mortgage faster, whatever it is, do it. Are you buying houses, take 10 to 15% of your savings, you're saving up down payments for your houses, you're not leveraging, so you're not exposed to interest rate risk. Go do something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The opportunities are there.
Yep. Just have to dig a little harder.
So the other thing too is if you want to retire a millionaire, if you're 18 today, it is still very, very possible and very, should I say, reasonably cheap to retire.
Oh, absolutely. It is easily doable.
Very.
Yeah.
So
if you're 30 years old and you retire with less than $1.5 million, it just means that you didn't invest 10% of your income.
And
that's all it is.
If you start at 18, like imagine how much more you'll have.
At $3, $4 million, $5 million.
So if you hear someone say something like, hey, you will never own a home because those days are gone. You're a worker. You'll never get anywhere. Don't listen to that.
Yeah, don't listen to that. That's just not true.
Don't listen to it.
Yeah. Is it harder? Yes. Is it doable? Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And it is the exact same way. So if you look at, say, just the S&P 500, or if you look at real estate trends, there has always been a reason to be fearful. So you had 1990, late 90s, early 2000, late 90s was the dot-com fear.
Right.
Right. The Y2K fear. Okay, that fear was very real, where computers all going to crash and all your currency was going to be worthless.
Oh, that was huge. I remember that.
I do too.
Well,
I'm old enough to remember that. That was a very real fear. Before that, there was a fear of the Cold War, right? Russia was going to send missiles over to the Western world and all of that. That fear is back.
Somewhat, yeah.
Somewhat, right? No, I'm not saying that Russia will, or that they can even, but people talk about that because the Russia-Ukraine war over there. The war in Israel with Hamas is happening, creates fear. Look at what the markets have done though in the last 3 years. We had one down year in the last 3 years. Other than that, they've almost doubled.
Yep.
Right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the reason for fear exists, but the fear is only there for people that are fearful. Right?
And therein lies the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you look at there was the Cold War, the fear of that. Before that was the Vietnam War. Before that was the Korean War. And before that was the Second World War. There have always been then when you talk about inflation and things like that, like the 1980s carried 20% mortgages, 18 to 20% mortgages, late 80s. The inflation was rampant at 8 and 10%. Like this cycle that we're living through, it's not like it hasn't happened before.
It's a continuous cycle.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say is fear is very often associated with ignorance. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%.
Yeah. If we don't know or understand something, we fear it way more.
Well, and there's a wonderful saying that I like. The thing that grows is the thing that you water.
Yeah.
And so if you're watching the news day in and day out, they're not going to tell you about any of the good things that are happening. They will always just tell you the fearful, the scary, all that stuff. And if that's where you're parking your car, I mean, you're going to be a fearful person.
Yeah.
So turn off the TV, go for a walk, enjoy the sunshine.
Talk to your neighbors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That right there will make a huge shift in your mindset right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. And I think that if you want to have less fear about something, take real estate investing as an example. Oh, real estate expenses are way too high. Market's going to crash. All of that stuff is happening. Let's say that's your fear.
Right.
One of the ways to overcome fear is to learn about it.
Yes.
Talk to people about it, see what they've done historically, listen to podcasts on it, watch YouTube videos on it, talk to real people that have done it in real life, that are doing it, and go do one, right? Let's just say.
Face your fear.
Face your fear. Go buy a house and rent it out. Even just if you make a 5-year commitment, I'm going to do this for 5 years, let's just say. And you just do one and you're very afraid of it and this thing could go bad. I bet you're right, it could. But what if it doesn't? What if it goes really good? What if you make $100,000 and that propels your family forward financially in a way you never could have imagined?
That's right.
Sets you up to retire on track, with money, and you can leave something behind for your kids. What if it does that? What if it really made you financially independent? Right? Same thing with mutual funds. Like, take $500 a month and put it into a fund for 2 years and see what happens every single month. I promise you're going to see some down months if it's a good equity portfolio.
Yeah.
Right. Look at it every single day and you're going to see the ups and downs and you're going to be afraid. Right. But if you look at it over a 3, 4, 5-year track record, you will be much less afraid because at the end of the day, it is history that shows us what can happen, both the things that we should be aware of and the things that are possible.
Yeah. Know that, scary things have happened. Scary things are going to continue to happen. But I have made a decision, Jake, to not make my decisions based on fear.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the other thing I would add to that is don't make your decisions based on fear, but also don't make long-term decisions based on short-term circumstances.
That's good.
A pastor actually said that to me a long time ago, about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I was going through some things and he said, let me make this statement. You're looking at making long-term decisions based on your immediate circumstances.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, he said, don't do that. So if you want to make decisions based on your immediate circumstances, they have to be decisions that are only going to affect you short-term, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm hungry right now. I need to eat right now.
Don't go cashing out your mutual fund so you can go buy a burger.
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to work for an hour so you can buy a burger.
Yeah.
Or whatever, right? So don't make long-term, don't buy, and rental property is the same thing. I'm poor right now. Don't go buy a rental home. That's a long-term decision based on an immediate circumstance, right? Don't eat out as much would be a short-term decision based on an immediate circumstance. Don't buy cigarettes. Don't buy alcohol. Get rid of Netflix and Prime Video and all these other things. Disney and all these, get rid of all that short-term stuff, right?
Right.
Don't put more debt on your credit card. Go sell a vehicle that's too expensive, right? Short-term things. And if we associate long-term decisions with long-term events, that takes a lot of the fear out of it.
Yes.
Right. That's what I was getting at with that. Right. And so for me, that was just like that was a very big eye opener. But yeah, so I would say if people understand their fear, that's how they conquer it. And separate your fear of the future in terms of money. Here's another, I'm a believer in Scripture. I believe that what the Bible says is true. I believe that you are born again by your faith in Jesus. Right. And so I look at the world probably very differently than most people that are not in that position spiritually. Let's just call it that.
Okay.
And I would say that when the Lord comes back, the things that matter are not going to be whether or not we had debt, but how we treated people.
Yes.
Right.
I agree with that statement.
Right. And so that's where the hope for the future lies. Do what's right by people all the time. Right. And the reason I say that is because that, to me, dissipates fear, if that makes sense. Do what's right by people all the time. So if that is your wife and kids, in my case, I don't spend money foolishly because it's doing what's right.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense? And as long as you are aware of that it's the right thing to do, then you do not need to fear the future.
That's right.
Because there is a God that's all powerful that'll take care of it. Now, you are still supposed to make decisions, obviously, because we do have free will. And so that's just how I look at it. I don't know if that makes sense.
I like it.
Am I too far off topic on that?
No. I agree with you.
Do what's right for people all the time, and fear dissipates.
Fear just kind of goes away.
Yeah. Or it certainly can. Right. And again, it has to do with ignorance. Just know what is right, to do what's right. But I think that, like we always say, money really does two things. It buys you options. You can do what's right and you can do what's wrong. And it buys you time. It gives you the time to do what's right and to do what's wrong. Right. And if you keep doing it, do the best that you can with what you have, and learn as much as you can about a topic that you're afraid of.
And you'll be just fine. The dream of having a good future is still very much alive.
Absolutely. Yep. So yeah, money does two things. Buys you options and buys you time.
Also makes you more of the person you already are.
Yeah,
amplifies your character.
Yep. And we certainly look forward to seeing how many people enter into the draws.
That'll be very exciting. Again, the number is 306-661-0713.
Okay, perfect. We'll leave it there.
Talk to you next time.
You've been listening to the Money Podcast with Jake Hebert and Lincoln Peters. Jake is a licensed financial professional. Lincoln is a certified financial coach, and their passion is to provide information and to have on professional guests that can help you reach financial peace. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten some useful information from it. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. For contact information, you can get our email address and phone number in the show notes. And the same goes for any products that we may mention during the show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Money Podcast with Jake and Lincoln.